All right. So I guess now you understand what the plan was.
Absolutely. At Colts Law, we talk Indianapolis Colts football.
We're going to stick to what we know, fundamentals and technique, 1% better every day.
Whoa! What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lawrence Owen. This is Colts Law, and with me, as usual, is my boy, Loyalist. All right, guys, the draft is over with. The draft is finally done. And forgive me, I've been busy last few days. Can't help it. Storms, rain, got a flat tire on my truck. Everything's going crazy with me. But now it's time, now that we got all that done, I want to know, how good are the Colts now? You know, now obviously, I'm not going to get a record prediction, honestly, until I see the team in training camp. I want to know what these new guys look like on the field, okay? But
really big.
some of them are going to be monstrous. I get that. I understand. I seen the draft. All right, I was there for that. But hey, before we get started, I want to shout out all of you guys that are here in the live chat. Appreciate each and every one of you. What's up, John Davis, Wyatt Law, Truett Tressler, Shrayless, what's going on? Ninkovsky's in here. What up? Toxic's in here as well. And I just saw Chuck Millsap and Malicious. What up? Before we get started, I just want a quick shout out. Couple donations last week. We had a donation during the draft. I think it was after the stream. I don't remember going over this, but KDC City dropped $3 and says, I think this was a good draft for the Colts. Do you think these were win now picks? Most definitely, right? Most definitely. I think these were need picks. I think these were situations where they went out and got guys to specifically fill roles that they needed. And when you do that, that means you're in win now mode. That means that your general thoughts about your team means that, you know, you have a good overall team. You're just missing specific pieces. And they went out and got specific pieces. You don't move up in the draft, and you don't move as much as Ballard moved up and down, right? To me, that's win now picks. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I honestly, like I said, some of the picks I felt like Pierce. I felt like it was a win now, you know. And then some of them, you know, I mean, I'm not going to put a rookie, you know, as far win now means is, do I think that this kid can give some production this year? I'm not saying that Pierce is going to go off for 850 yards or anything, but I am saying that, you know, he is going to get potential starting reps and early game reps in his season, you know. And then you look at Jelani Woods. I mean, good gravy. How can you keep this massive human off the field? You know, and to your point, you know, we needed, you know, some really good competition at that left tackle position. And I think, you know, Reinert might give Pryor an interesting battle, you know, I mean, at that left position. So those three guys, yes, like you said, I can see them, you know, by the end of the season becoming, you know, very valuable this year because of, you know, injuries and a plethora of other things that can come up throughout the year. But then, like you said, you look down the line, you Cross, I mean, jumped up. This kid's not even 21 years old. This kid's like, I'm going to be here for a minute, you know, and the fact that Ballard, like you said, gave up so much capital to make that very uncharacteristic leap. I mean, it's not normal. You see Ballard dip into the war chest for the following year, you know, to get somebody. So that to me is just like, that elevates the expectations for what I hope to see from this young man.
The other guy that donated, obviously, is our boy. Appreciate you, Ninkovsky. Goki Colts fan. Drop $5 into the donation jar, which you can also do if you want to make sure that you get your comment or question read out loud and help donate to the channel. You know, donate to the cause. You can use the link right here in the description of the video. But He says, "Go Colts." Absolutely, man. We're all excited after this draft. I'll tell you what. Here's something that I'm very interested in. Someone else that we got. I can't remember his name, but we got the Rookie of the Year from the European Football League on the team now. Okay.
Dabo Marcel.
Thank you, Dabo. Yes. He's very interesting. He's from Germany, I believe. Now, the last time we had a German player, a guy from Germany on our team, he didn't work out very well. Right? It was a certain edge rusher that Grigson drafted, but I'm gonna let that pass because this is Ballard, not Grigson. And we needed depth at corner, and he had a fantastic season over in the European Football League. So why not take a flyer on the guy, right?
Yeah. I mean, between this guy and then a lot of these UDFAs, I mean, Brandon Wood and we were talking it's going to be very, very difficult to make this roster, even with the expanded, the 16 practice squad. And the thing is, like you said with Dabo Marcel, he doesn't count against the roster. He doesn't count against the practice squad. I mean, this guy is he's part of all the AFC South teams got a player, so he was the one that the Colts chose, and they've been looking at and working with, I guess, over a year from what they'd said.
Absolutely. Now, we were discussing, Loyalist asked before we even went live, what's up with Believe? I ain't seen it. The audio is up. I have yet to post the video. There was a couple little glips in it, and I had to do a little bit more editing than I wanted. The video is basically done. I just have to upload it up to YouTube. So be patient. I'll make sure that the Patreon is up as soon as we end this stream, and then the regular YouTube video will be available to the regular consumers probably an hour after that. If you want to see the full version, the entire version, from the point that myself and oh my goodness, thank you, Gerard Powers, got on. I'm sorry, Gerard, if you're watching this. All right, my brain had a fart there for a second, but from the moment we got on to the moment we left, Patreon is for you. It's only $5 a month. You get every bit unedited, everything that we had done. So anything that we talk about, any laughs, anything that's cut out, it's in there, unedited completely. And there's about 15 minutes or so in this one. So
yeah. And guys, if you're not watching Lawrence and Gerard there on Believe, I mean, you're missing out. I mean, last week he had an excellent interview with Morocco Brown. And I wanted to bring that up, dude, because that first question was awesome. Because you sat there and if you haven't seen it, Lawrence asked Morocco, he's like, is there a difference from year 1 or 2 when you're looking at your draft and stuff and building your board from 5 or 6? And the reason I wanted to bring that up was because you look at this draft, okay? I remember the first year, 2 years, 3 years, we were looking for team captains. We were looking for, intelligence. But a lot of it was based around maturity and leadership. You know what I mean? Whereas this draft, and I'm not saying that these guys aren't leaders in their own rights. That's not what I'm trying to say. But this year, you look at it, I mean, this year's draft, for me, the motto was RAS, relative athletic. I mean, that is that was massive in this draft. But, you sit there and you look at it, this year's draft, still real important in the intelligence and stuff, category and stuff. But then you look at like I said, just the measurables and how I felt like this draft was much more geared in that vein. I mean, it is really awesome to sit there and see how this roster is in this building phase, this reloading phase. Ballard said, he goes, I know we're a young team, but he goes, we've got to get younger. We've got to keep this. And that's the thing. That's what's going to make this a winning franchise for years to come.
Now, here's another big thing that I want to discuss on how you view how good your team is before the first snap of the regular season happens. How many guys are going to be snagged off your waiver wire after final cuts, right? And I got a feeling there's going to be quite a few that are going to be snagged by other teams. Remember last year Ballard was like, well, we're going to try to get Easton on our practice squad. Yeah, that wasn't happening. You know, there was a couple other guys that happened with as well, right? And this year, pay attention. Ballard and Reich are going to be really upset because there's going to be a lot of really good guys that will make other teams maybe even get real playing time on other teams, you know, that aren't going to make our roster, right? That's just not going to make it. I mean, you go look at the guy playing for Philly right now, that safety position that Loyalist and I absolutely loved last year in training camp and played his heart out during, you know, preseason. And
Sauchere.
Yeah, Andre Sauchere. And next thing you know, he's getting quality snaps with the Eagles. You know, you're going to see a lot of that with the Indianapolis Colts this year. So there might be guys on this team that you're like, oh, this guy is awesome. But if he doesn't make the 53, let's say Curtis Brooks, if he doesn't make the 53, there's a good chance somebody else is going to freaking snag him up, you know? But outside of that, I want to talk about the team as a whole, right? How good is this team? Not just, you know, as a whole, but, you know, in position wise, you know, it's very odd that we didn't get any edge rushers in this draft. Was this the first year he's never grabbed an edge rusher?
As far as I can remember, because I mean, I was sitting there thinking about that myself. You know, we got Banigou and Toure and Lou. I mean, it's been a steady stream of not just draft picks, but number 2 draft picks.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah. And I don't think we got 2 defensive tackles in this draft, which we needed, you know. But look, you could tell how good this team is because he went out and got depth. That's what he was going for. Depth at safety, depth at corner, depth on the D line. You know, the defense was secured with depth pieces that we were talking about, right? It's like the starting positions on this Colts defense, absolutely outstanding. We need depth. But now we got depth. Hopefully, if these guys work out. Obviously, we don't know. You know, it's kind of a, you know, as Ballard says, it's just throwing darts at the board. You know, now sometimes those darts are a little direct, depending upon how good your scouts are, depending upon how close to the board you're throwing your darts. But yeah, I really like what this team is right now. We got a lot of depth. I'm surprised that there aren't more people out there that are throwing hissy fits, though, that we only got 1 wide receiver in this draft, because there was a lot of people saying we needed to double dip back to back at wide receiver because we had no talent there whatsoever. I'll argue with anyone over that personally, but they did double dip at tight end. And that was a little bit of a confusion at first with me with the Ogletree draft pick. But then I started thinking about it. This guy, even though I think Ogletree could end up being kind of a wide receiver tight end hybrid.
Okay. See, and that was the thing. I mean, you know, I sat there and I thought about this, and I look back to when we went and got MPJ. You know, we went and got MPJ higher in the round in the draft, but then we hit and got a very similar in Des Patman, very similar body build, very similar, you know, feels, you know, sort of that same role that MPJ was going to. So like you said, you know, you get 2 chances to make sure that you hit at that position because it was so important. Well, I think that this shows us a little bit of what Ballard thought, because, you know, I know people, and my initial thought was, oh man, Granson's got to be going, what in the world is going on? But you know what, you think about it, and the Mo Alley Cox he's signed, he's 3 years, you know, we know what we've got with Mo Alley Cox, you know. But then you sit there and you look at Jelani Woods, and you look at the other young man that, you know, was there at the tight end spot. I mean, both of these guys are massive human beings. I mean, I seen on Twitter where they were sitting there talking about, could you imagine, you know, a goal line or a shortened distance lineup with, you know, and then they had Jelani Woods, Mo Alley Cox, Michael Pittman, and then you could have, maybe Strawn if he proves enough, and it's like, what would be the nickname for this? And I'm like, the Pillars of Power, because that's what I thought of, what I mean? It's just these guys are going to be able to go out there. And I mean, Matt Ryan has got to be going, I used to love when I had Gonzalez. I used to love when I had Julio Jones. Well, now he's got 4 or 5 options. And I'm not saying none of them are either of those guys, but I mean, just the target that they create for Matt Ryan in the red zone and stuff. And then you got Jonathan Taylor in the back or Naheem Hines. I mean, man, this team is just going to be so hard to stop.
Yeah. Guys, smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. Tag that notification bell so that you are notified next time we go live or upload a video. Ladies and gentlemen, I did come up with an idea about the tight ends that we have currently on the roster. And I want to talk about that for just a moment. But before I do, I want you to know that if you are excited about this upcoming season and want to get another piece for your man cave or just your living area in general, go check out the Backroom Collection. This channel is proudly sponsored by the Backroom Collection. They do beautiful sports canvas art with football, basketball, baseball, and other sports themes. Special orders are accepted and autograph pieces are available. Many Indianapolis Colts signed pieces will be available beginning in November. Just use your discount code CL10 to purchase the pieces you want to spice up your living area. That's CL10. So as I was discussing, we talk about always wanting someone being able to push another guy, right? And Jelani Woods is going to push Mo Alley Cox because they are very similar people, just physically. They are very similar people. And so, they're going to help each other out. We did not have somebody like Kylan Granson until we picked up Ogletree. Now, you're going to look at the draft bio or something like that, or hear other people say, well, this guy's not good at route running. This guy's not good at catching. He can block, but if you look at the athleticism of the dude, he is fast. He's got good quickness. He's long. He is exactly like Granson, except he's new to the tight end position as well, right? Very, very raw. And Ballard talked about that, saying, hey, this is a guy that I think that we could really get up and work with like a molding clay. As a matter of fact, if I remember right, if I remember correctly, I think I saw a tweet from him, from Ogletree himself, saying, hey, I'm excited to be on the team, glad to be picked. I'm a piece of clay, mold me.
Wasn't that Woods, though? I think that was Jelani Woods.
I know Jelani Woods did that too.
Okay.
I think both of them basically said the exact same thing.
Yeah, Coach Adams is going to be going, all right, young man, let's get in the lab.
Right. Bring the juices in here. Ant Rogers, appreciate both of you guys being in here. Don't forget to smash that like button. Yeah. That's funny that you say this. I don't have, okay, so Chuck says player comparisons for a draft class, and Ant said Jordy Nelson for Alec Pierce. That is what a lot of people are comparing him to. I like the idea of Cooper Kupp. I know that, Kupp's not as big as Pierce, but they both play very similar, right? Mm-hmm. Where they get behind receivers. They have a very good field awareness, understanding where spatial concepts are, which is going to be huge. The only thing that he had issues with is route running. Kupp had issues with route running when he first came into the NFL, right? Once he got that down, Kupp became a superstar. So hopefully, no better coach out there, in my opinion, to teach route running than Mr. Reggie freaking Wayne. Mm-hmm. So we could see some serious production from Alec Pierce this season.
I also liked his comparison to AJ Green because, AJ Green was one of those guys who could blow the doors off of you, but if he needed to go up for that 50-50 ball. And the thing is Pierce, you sit there and you look at a couple things that were part of building who he is. I mean, this kid was, came into college talking about, playing defense, looking at the safety and linebacker, spot because they were, so that shows you the tough and grit, and toughness that he's got, and then you sit there and you realize, he's got this great body control in the air from his volleyball background and stuff. So just digging into this kid and stuff. And you guys all know I'm a Notre Dame fan, and boy, he broke my heart last year because when they beat Notre Dame, you know how it is for those guys. If they lose one game, they're out of the playoff bid. So that was a heartbreaker. And Pierce was a huge part in that game. I mean, the whole game, he just torched the Notre Dame defense, and they were a very good defense last year.
Absolutely. Hey, Bring the Juice. I want to say what up. Thank you for covering on the day that I was just beat dead tired, couldn't pull the draft. I went out, tweeted out, let people know I wasn't going to be able to do it. I sent them over to you. I said, hey, go check out this. They're going to have a great show. So yeah, appreciate you guys over there on Bring the Juice. Both of you, Derek and Cody. Awesome. 0194D says drafting double defensive tackle this year was smart. We drafted 2 guys who could play edge last year. Again, we needed depth at defensive tackle after Stallworth left, and really we got 3 guys that could play defensive tackle, but not on early downs. Usually Dio and Lewis can play defensive tackle, but that's more third down, pass rush situation than it is, your run stopping downs. Stallworth was that guy, Woods was that guy, that we had for those early downs. We picked up a couple big, strong human beings. And the first guy that we picked, my goodness, didn't, if I remember correctly, Morocco Brown compared him to our guy, our one tech, right?
Grover?
Yeah, he compared him to Grover. Said he's a big, strong mountain of a man.
See, I thought these guys were both undersized. I thought that's why because you're talking about Johnson out of Mississippi State, right?
I think so. The first
See, and this kid, I mean, the nice thing about these 2 defensive tackles is they move up the field. And that's really going to play into the Gus Bradley and pin your ears back. Because, I mean, thing is, we're not just doing it from the edge. We're not containing like we did a lot with this Eberflus. From what I hear from Coach Ollie and Coach Bradley, this thing's just going to be full throttle, pin your ears back. And these guys are more – they're not – I mean, what was 286 or something like that for Curtis Brown? I mean, and this kid, I mean, he had 7.5 sacks, I think it was last year. So, I mean, the fact that we still had a shot at him in the 6th round, I think it was just remarkable because the thing was he didn't fit with a lot of teams, but he fit perfectly with this Gus Bradley scheme and stuff.
Well, also you need strength, especially on the interior. All right. And if you could bench press 33 plus,
yeah,
that's nice. That's nice. So we got 2 guys that can do that.
Yeah.
And that helps a ton.
Boy, Ballard was really impressed with that Cincinnati organization, wasn't he? I mean,
and Minnesota. We got 3 guys from Minnesota.
Yeah. I mean, I would sit there and I love the fact that he didn't stop with just the 2 draft picks from Cincinnati. He still went and got another young man through the UDFA that just come to find out, from a lot of his teammates is like, this was the heart and soul. This is the guy who was underrated. So that just screams a Ballard move, and the thing is he obviously was really impressed because Cincinnati has been building over the last 10, 12 years, but this was the core group that really helped lift them and vault them into the playoffs and stuff. And that's, I mean, in this day and age and with the NCAA football being what it is, that's a massive epic feat.
Hey, I'm okay with them grabbing Cincinnati guys and Minnesota guys. I'm perfectly okay with it. I'm just ecstatic they didn't get an Ohio State guy. I'm just saying. I know there's a lot of Ohio State fans out there. But let's face it, every one of them gets hurt by their second year. Misses tons and not just Colts, NFL wise. So we'll stay away from that until they figure out how to fix that. Go ahead.
Shrey was sat there and said Brooks was a steal and he was first in QB pressures. That's right. I mean, this dude, what his win rate is, it's insane what he did. And the thing is the fact that he's a little older, which we've got a few of those guys this year from this COVID draft or whatever you want to call it. So, these guys are all a little bit longer in the tooth, short of Nick Cross's stuff, but the thing is this guy is he fits so well in this scheme. If he can come out and give us a fifth or sixth guy in that rotation, maybe we can keep Defoe a little bit fresher. So, man, I'm just super hyped about what this D line is because I feel like we're going to lose some really talented players at the D line during cutdowns.
094D and Ant Roger says, don't let Derek hear you talk about Ohio State guys. I was on his show and was telling him the facts, because it's facts. You go back, every first, second, or third round pick that was an Ohio State guy over the last 5 years has gotten hurt either their first or second season, period. All of them, every single one. And that's not talking bad about them. That's just stating facts, right? So, it is what it is. Shreyla says, can never have too much depth on that defensive line. They take the most beating along with offensive line. Needed that rotation. As long as they use the rotation on the D-line, unlike last year, right? Unlike last year, which is why I said, hey, that D-lineman needs to go. We do not need him no more. The D-line coach need to get rid of him. And it was the first move first thing Colts did was, we don't want him no more. And bam, thank you so much for that. Took them a while to get a new D-line coach, but they got Nate Ollie, so I'm okay with that. But use these guys, but we still got to see what they could do in training camp. I can't wait for training camp. In all honesty, on paper, let's get to the nitty gritty of the real reason why we are all here. Potential. What is the Colts' potential this season on paper? Loyalist, I'll let you go first.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, and I'm not going to win any votes here, okay? But I love what the draft brought. I do. I love but the thing is the draft was also a lot of raw 1 year proven, it wasn't like the Ravens. The Ravens, they go out and they get these guys that have done it multiple years. We went and, Ballard was looking for the traits and the rare minerals and stuff to help build this team. So I have to see how it pulls together right now. I love the depth pieces. I love the choices that were made, but then I look at the starters and I felt like our starters were in really good shape. This defense, but even before the draft, this defense is going to be special. I feel like, Gilmore and Kenny Moore the second, and just if we don't lose too much in the run stoppage, because I think that we will regress a little bit there. But man, we got a couple studs in Okereke and Darius Leonard to help pick up the slack there. I think Darius is going to get some more tackles this year like he did in his earlier seasons and stuff. But yeah, like I said, I felt like before the draft, the Colts were, it was a really good decision between the Titans and the Colts. But then you sit there and you look at, they lost A.J. Brown in the draft. That was a huge win for the Colts. That alone, I felt like gave the Colts a very good head start in that, And then, like I said,
addition through subtraction.
Absolutely. And then you sit there and you look at Pierce, who I think is going to be productive, and Paris Campbell. I told all the guys in Discord last night, and this is, Paris Campbell is going to play at least 13 games this season, and I'm not even going to look at it. I'm not even going to look at it as, saying, when I mention Paris Campbell, I'm not going to be like, if he's no, I'm going to talk it into existence. He's playing at least 13 games this season. He's going to push MPJ for that leader in yardage, because Matt Ryan is going to be able to throw him out of danger. Matt Ryan's going to be able to place that ball a lot better, I think, than what Carson was doing.
Oh my. Dude. If Paris Campbell plays a minimum of 13 games, you're right. He will push MPJ for the number one receiver spot. Not saying he's going to push him for the X receiver. I'm saying, like you're saying, targets, yardage, all that. That's just because of what he can do on the field is ridiculous. And we've seen it. We got to see it. Even with Wentz, we saw it earlier in the year. We saw, and at the end of the year, we was seeing what we could do. It's just Wentz was not very good at throwing guys open, and leading receivers. Matt Ryan, again, another addition through subtraction. Matt Ryan is going to make this receiving core impressive. Reggie Wayne is a huge bump in coaching at the receivers. We got multiple guys. I think Nyheim Hines is going to see more action. Mo Alley Cox is going to see a lot more action now that he's the number one tight end rather than the number 2 or number 3 tight end. And then of course the rookies that we have. This offense got way better.
Yeah,
right?
Because I think there again, Granson, he even in the interview that you had with him, he said that, he was learning and he was, but he knew and he had planned that year 2 was going to be his big breakout year. And I agree with him. I believe that. And the thing is I want to go back to something I said about Michael Pittman Jr. I don't think that Michael Pittman Jr. is going to regress because of anything that he's done. I just think with spreading the ball out more, with getting more value out of our passing game, I think is going to be where he may have less targets, but I think that he could still get, really good yardage.
We're going to have 4 guys. That was my prediction. 4 guys with 60 catches or more this year. We haven't seen that in eons. Heck, one year we only had 1 guy with 60 catches or more, right? And that was Nyheim Hines.
Yeah, and you look at the guys that we're talking about catching passes, Michael Pittman Jr., okay, Alec Pierce. These guys are really good at blocking. So it's not like JT's not going to get the ball and not have these guys doing that grit work, doing that stuff that everybody touted Zach Pascal for, and what he continued to his career with was his blocking and his doing the gritty jobs. It's the not sexy stuff from receivers. Pearson and Michael Pittman Jr. are really good in that area, and then like you said, you get JT and Nyheim Hines running all throughout the field. And I mean, and we have, and this is all without the draft, outside of Pierce, this is all without the draft. I can't imagine what it would be like to sit there and look at this roster and go, okay, I'm going to take this away from him. Because the thing is you may take that one thing away, but you got so many other pieces that are, and like you said, I feel like Matt Ryan is sort of going to be like that superhero. He's not just lifting up a player, he's lifting up the whole team, the whole organization, just with what he brings.
I'm going to say something now. It's going to really tick off a lot of Colts fans, but hear me out, please. Okay. I don't think T.Y. Hilton comes back to the Colts this year. I don't. And I understand he's a fan. I love T.Y. Hilton too. Okay. The reason we would have brought him back was for veteran presence. And we have Reggie Wayne. Ballard loved the youth and even though they were experienced, he loved the potential of the young guys that we had on offense. Now we even have more inexperienced young guys on this offense that is going to be pushing for starting snaps. I think Ballard and Reich are going to want to see those guys get as many snaps and as much experience early on as they possibly can and lean more on Reggie Wayne for that role of, developing and bringing them in, because he is a former player and he is well respected. And I get it. T.Y. only needs like less than 400 yards or something for his 10K. I get it. We all can't reach every goal. Okay. Maybe T.Y. signs with another team. I don't know. If he does and he gets that 10K, awesome. I hope that's great. But I don't think T.Y. will be joining the Colts here this year, and I think that you're going to see a lot of improvement out of our path. It's not just the fact that I think that our team is going to be better because of Matt Ryan, because that I really do see a lot of potential in our receivers.
Mm-hmm. Their weak spot is Reggie Wayne's expertise, because you look at Michael Strong, even in Pierce that we picked up, these guys, their biggest area of growth is going to be in route running. And I would argue that there is not a better receiver to play the game, because that was where he made his bread and butter. That was his strength. It wasn't that he was faster or that he was bigger, or, he wasn't Calvin Johnson. He wasn't, Ross, blowing the doors on the 40 or anything, but this guy was just a technician at running these routes. And you sit there and you get these guys that are already good blockers, already big bodied, have good, 50-50 presence in the air and stuff. Yeah, this could honestly be the biggest growth year for this wide receiver room.
Trayless was a joke. That's pretty funny, man. If Ty signs with the Houston Texans, he'll have 1,600 yards just from home games.
Well, hopefully Ty will just call in sick of the game that we have to play there against him.
Dude, that's some funny shit right there, Trayless. That's some funny shit. All right. That was a pretty darn good one. True, it says 1,608 games. I mean, I can see it. Houston plays really good in NRG Stadium now. All right. He averages over 100. He averages over 100 yards a game there.
We've got about 9 million left. Between 9 and 10 million left after we sign all of our rookies. Okay. Do you think that Ballard rolls that over? Okay. Or do you think that he sits there and he goes and looks to bring in another veteran player? And
no, with what he's got right now, I don't.
Okay. Well, here's what I want to run this idea by you. Okay. Nick Foles is out there. Okay. Now, hear me out before you give me okay, too late. Luke's already done. But you bring Nick Foles in and you give him that Brian Hoyer role. You give him to where he's sitting there and he's teaching Jack Cohn, Sam Ellinger. He's teaching them how to be good backups. He's teaching them because that's what Foles has been extraordinary at his entire career in the league, is he can come out and win you a game or two. Okay. But he's just really good at being that backup and always being ready. Okay. Not to mention, we're talking about all this wide receiver talent. You're going to want to have 4 accurate. Okay. Cohn's pretty accurate. Ellinger is a little weak and his accuracy's getting better, I'm hoping. And then you got Matt Ryan, which he's no worse, but he's going to be working with the ones. But you still want all this young talent and stuff to get good opportunities in training camp and stuff. So if you have a Nick Foles and a Jack Cohn throwing the rock to him, you're going to get a better evaluation of what these receivers have. And like I said, he's a right guy, and I don't think that he would garner that big of a payroll.
Well,
what do you think?
The only thing, Nick Foles would take a roster spot. Okay. And are we really going to have 3 quarterbacks with Matty never missing any time? Ryan at quarterback? We're not.
No, he doesn't have to take a roster spot. You put him on your practice squad. Okay.
You think he'll sit on the practice squad?
Hear me out. You put him in the practice squad and just let him know. And like I said, this is the selfish Colts fan. I don't know that he would take this, but I just want to explain how it would really work, because you could sit there and protect him on the practice squad. Okay. Say Matt Ryan, gets injured or is going to, Sam can go in and finish that game out or whatever, like he did, like Jacob Eason did last year for Carson Wentz in week 2. Okay. But then you can sit there and lift Nick Foles up off the practice squad, and he can be your more, let's keep the winning going and stuff, because I'm sorry, I don't like the thought of Sam Ellinger or Jack Cohn being there for 2 or 3 weeks, because I don't think either of them are ready.
I agree. On the whole, I don't want either one of them being our backup. because I don't like the idea, but at the same time, if there was one quarterback out there that I did not think would miss even a snap, it would be Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
I don't see either of the quarterbacks that you mentioned that we have on our roster as being our starter after Matt Ryan retires.
Absolutely
no, absolutely not. Got about $9 million. I think they're going to sit on that because there's still going to be spots when cuts happen, waiver wires. Chris Ballard is going to sign guys.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's also going to be probably there's still free agent guys out there. Mm-hmm. They might go out and grab maybe, a wide receiver or something or somebody else out there just for competition or whatnot. I don't see him putting more into the quarterback position right now. I understand where you're coming from, but I think it's a reach. Okay. Just my thoughts on that. No, but I do understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. I love this one. I got to pull it. This is from when we first got it started. So Wyatt Law's out there. He says, winning the AFC South shouldn't be that hard. I think we can run the big dogs for a conference championship. Don't discount the sour taste and the chip on the shoulder from the Jacksonville. And I would agree, except, man, running the AFC West, that would be – if we did that, honestly, if this team could run the table on the AFC West, I would sit there and say that not only would we do well in the playoffs, but we would host multiple home games. And, man, this team with the home crowd behind them in the playoffs with that youth and veteran leadership that's still young, man, that would be awesome.
Jason David has an interesting question. And, Hot Rod took a lot of heat over this past season. And to me, I think it was completely and utterly undeserving. But Jason David says, if the Colts had to hit a 53-yarder field goal to win an AFC championship, do you trust Hot Rod? Absolutely, I do. I was there during training camp last year when this man was nailing 60-yarders back to back to back to back. Was he not?
Yeah. Yeah. And my only pushback there is that why he got injured? That's where I'm wondering, did he, was he pushing his body further than it could hold up for an entire season? So that's where I'm like, I mean, because I was surprised how many extra yards he was getting, because that was my first training camp because of, all the other. So then I seen him, I'm like, well, this kid's bombing these things. I was like, what the heck, But there again, was that what helped cause the injury? And is that why they didn't bring him back at the end of the season? I wonder.
Oops. Too many people. He says, what up, fellas? You guys are doing a fantastic job every time y'all go live.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that, guys. 43 minutes in, we got 60 people in here. Thank you. Please smash that like button. Do us that huge favor. Don't forget and do it later. Do it now. It helps out the analytics a ton. So thank you.
Hey, real quick, is there any place we can get like short little clips or anything that, things that are covered here or on your Believe podcast?
I'm sorry.
Is there a platform or anything that you put things on that you can get like short little, 3 to 5 minute clips?
I have no idea. This video is sponsored by Newsbreak. Newsbreak is an app used over 1.5 billion times a month by people just like you to get local news via articles or videos by those who are focused on that specific area. People like myself. Just use the link in the description of this video to download it. Then search a city, state, or someone specific, like myself, Colts Law. Then make sure to follow them so you'll get all the news fresh as it comes out. We still have not talked about what we think on paper the Colts' potential for this season is. We keep getting derailed. 45 minutes of derailment.
Hey man, I've missed you. You know, I haven't got to talk to you that much in the last couple weeks, so I've got it. That's all pin up. Sorry, guys.
It's all good, man. And it's also the chat, which has
Yeah.
been absolutely on fire. Love you guys. Appreciate each and every one of you. That's my cat that's been sitting on my lap this whole time. So potential paper, the paper dragons. All right, that's what we're looking at right now. The paper dragons. I'm looking at this defense going, oh, this is a top 3 defense in the NFL. This is a defense that's potentially the best in the NFL. Okay, as an overall defense. Offensively, best running back in football. I don't care if you're a Derrick Henry fan. I don't care. Jonathan Taylor's the best running back in football. Matt Ryan's significant upgrade over Carson Wentz. All right. This team is significantly better than last year's team. Last year, we won 9 games. Matt Ryan changes at least 2 games. Right there. Bam. So that automatically puts us 11-6 just from the Matt Ryan signing. All right. Because of the fact, how close all those games were. All those big time hardcore hitting. And we got that this year too. Those big games, the AFC West, the Pittsburgh, got big name team, Patriots. The way I see it, we got better on defense overall, unquestionably. Love Rock, but defensive player of the year. Yannick is a premier pass rusher in the NFL in Gus Bradley's scheme. And he has yet to play sitting beside an all-pro defensive tackle like DeForest Buckner, okay? That's a huge bonus. Right there. Those 2 guys on the defense alone increases this, let alone all the extra guys that we have gotten for depth. I think legitimately, if this team currently does not hit 13 wins, even facing the tough teams that we have got on our schedule, the toughest game that I'm looking at is Denver and the Raiders. And the reason I say that is Colts and the Raiders always tight games. Always tight games. Denver is in Denver. Playing Mile High when you're not used to playing in that kind of high altitude is rough. I've had everyone that I've ever had that's played there has told me that. We play Kansas City at home. We're going to smash the dog snot out of Kansas City, okay? Mark my words. Write it down. We're going to beat Kansas City by at least 3 scores, okay? Yeah, that's right. I said it. Okay, so, and I don't care. I don't even know what the new guys look like the rookies.
Yeah.
I'm just saying Jonathan Taylor's going to get 230 yards easy against them, and Matt Ryan is going to throw for 3 touchdowns. But
yeah. And to your point, you sit there and you look at, okay, the Titans. I think we could all say that they're at best going to stay level to where they were last year, if not regress. So there's an extra win for us if we just split with them. Okay, the Jaguars, guys, I like what the Jaguars did. I mean, I think they were paid a little bit. I'm telling you right now, the Jaguars are getting swept this year. The Colts are not. I mean, there's I seen somebody talking about the chip, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to try to find it, but the chip on Darius Leonard's shoulder is now a boulder because of the way the Jacksonville has gone over the last couple of years. I really do believe that we're going to sweep them there. Okay. And then you sit there and you look at all these players. You got Bobby Okereke, you got Yannick Ngakoue, you've got a lot of talent that are on contract years. And you guys all know, when they're trying to get that next contract, that's when these guys really elevate their game and stuff, So you've got a lot of hungry mouths also in this defense. And like I said, the competition, I'm sorry. I think training camp's going to be absolutely a blast every daggone day that they're in pads. Because, I mean, I'm going to sit there and you're going to see some just ridiculously gifted athletes at every position, no matter if they're in the third string or the fourth string in a lot of these positions. So, like I said, I'm in of the 13, but in a different way of getting there, because I'm not going to sit there and say we're going to blow the Chiefs because I like some of the moves they made, but I understand your point that I do think that we can get the W against them.
We're built to beat the Chiefs.
Yep.
Yeah, the Chiefs are very similar to what the Houston Texans were built like when the Colts were built to beat them. The Bills, the Chiefs, the Texans back in the day when they had Watson and Hopkins and pass rushers on both ends and stuff like that. The Colts were built to beat these teams. Okay, teams that we have a trouble with are teams that are just well-rounded teams like the Raiders. New England is a well-rounded team. I think we'll have a little trouble with them. I think we can beat them. I mean, we beat them last year, so we definitely can beat them. Finally got that monkey off our shoulder, right?
Yeah.
But I need to come up here real quick. Where does it say? Okay, it says, I don't know about Denver being the toughest. I've been to a game at Arrowhead, and it's toxic. Or he might be talking of Too Toxic, who just said Denver is the best home field advantage in sports. Every Colt player I have ever talked to, and I have talked to a lot of them, I have asked every one of them, where's the toughest place to play? And it's always one of two places. All right. And Arrowhead was not mentioned in any of them. They do talk about, the fan, the audience, the noise that's tough to play in. But it's either ever been Denver because of how hard it is to catch your breath, or Florida during the summer.
Yeah, because noise, you can prepare yourself. You can desensitize yourself to the noise a little bit. Whenever you can't get oxygen, and these guys are, 6'7", 6'8", 280 pounds and stuff, running 4.6, 40. I mean, yeah, that requires a lot. Those muscles require a lot of oxygen, and whenever you narrow down that oxygen in Mile High, and then to your point there in Jacksonville, the humidity, that could be narrowed down by where it falls on the schedule and stuff, if we get them early in the year or if we get them late in the year type of thing. But to your point, that's another thing that outside of just, getting used to it, there's nothing you can do to prepare yourself for.
Nope. And it's not just Jacksonville, Miami, Tampa Bay, all those places are high heat, high humidity, especially during the summer, so it's rough. But yeah, he says that it's the wind that comes through as well, and how it just sits there and rotates around the field. I understand that. I get that. But the players can deal with stuff like that. It's the stuff they can't deal with or prepare for.
I like that one.
That's great. Guys, it's been about 54 minutes. I appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget, there's a ton of links in the description. Obviously, donation. If you can't donate, that's fine. Just make sure you smash the like button. Share this stream to your favorite social media. I'd really appreciate it. Help us out a ton. Okay. I think that that's not because of that. That has a lot to do with, the team and the coach. I think, really it had to do with the coach. We got out coached every time we played in Gillette. All right. Just straight up. They knew we could not stop the run. And so they just threw out 6 or 7 offensive linemen and a big heavy back and ran it right down our throats all the time. And then what happened and then we just paid them back this past year the same way. All right.
I was going to say, does that sound familiar? Like something we might see a little bit this year?
Right. Yeah. I mean, we did draft an offensive lineman that was a tight end, you know, so he could be that sixth option, you know, that sixth offensive lineman that's eligible.
And that's something else. You look at a lot of these guys that we were bringing in and stuff, you know, these guys are going to be like you said, Ryman, he came from the tight end and is played a year and a half at tackle, you know, 18 games, I think. So that's not a whole ton of experience. So, you know, you sit there and you get the Colts, and that's their strength is their coaching staff. The Colts believe in building through the draft and developing players. They're really good at that. So that's where I like, you know, and I was a little harsh on Ryman a little bit at the draft because, you know, I mean, it's crazy. Our left tackle, if he plays left tackle, is going to be one of the shortest armed men that we drafted this year, just because of the other humans that we had drafted. I mean, because he's only at 72 and 32 and 7/8, you know, so he's just under 33-inch arms and stuff, you know, and that's where it's like, but this kid's feet, he is really good with his feet. He grew up in Austria and grew up playing soccer. I mean, he didn't play football until he was 14, you know, but then you look at the commitment that he's given to this game. He came here to the States through exchange student in high school. And then he played at college here. I mean, he hadn't even seen his mom and dad in over 3 years because of the pandemic and his commitment to the game and stuff. So, like I said, you look at the tight ends that we've got. One was a quarterback. One was a wide receiver. They're both, you know, found their way because of just their freakish body builds and stuff. You know, I mean, it is impressive. And the thing is these guys are not finished products. But I would have to say that they could not have found too many of other organizations to come to where, I mean, that's what we did with Mo Alley Cox. And we brought him in. He never played a snap of football, you know, and we helped build this man up. You know, I mean, he did the work, I understand, but we helped give him the tools to become who he is now.
Well, we got another guy at the wide receiver position that's in a very similar situation, just a freak athlete and freakish size, and Mike Strawn, right? We're all very interested to see how if his route running and his hands get better this training camp, because last year he showed some serious flashes, but he had problems getting open at times because all he did was use his size and speed to get open. He needs to work on route running, which again, Reggie Wayne.
Yeah.
And then of course he had drops. He had a lot of drops.
And those are the two hallmarks of Reggie Wayne. Good hands and great route running. Perfect for this wide receiving room. You know what I mean? Just perfect. And like I said, Coach Adams, the tight end coach, has got to be going, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this.
So our schedule will be dropping soon.
May 12th.
May 12th. I am praying week 1 is in Jacksonville. Okay. I am praying for that because I just want us to go down there and just 2 birds, 1 stone, get the week 1 win, smack Jacksonville right across the top of their helmets, you know, like, yeah. And then we could all just get that monkey, the double monkey off our back. We got 1 off our back last year. Let's get 2 of them out right off the bat and start the season off great. Guys, appreciate each and every one of you. Again, I think we're about done here. It's been an hour. Thank you so much. I will be, like I said, as soon as I get done here, I will be uploading the Patreon to the Patreon version of the recording yesterday for Believe in Colts with Gerard Powers, where we broke down the draft player by player, pick by pick, and then had a little bit more discussion on top of it. And then after that, if you want to see that, again, like I said, go check out Patreon, use the link. It's only $5 a month. And you'll be getting plenty of content there. When preseason starts, anytime we have games, whether it's preseason games, regular season games, we do 2 a week, Mondays and Thursdays. So you're getting double the content at that point. and it's still only $5. I'm not going to jack the price up to $10 a month just because, we're doing it twice. But make sure you go check that out. And then any other links in the description. I appreciate each and every one of you. Any final words, Loyalist?
I just want to reiterate to you guys, we're thinking 13 wins this year, and we got thank you. We got Paris Campbell. I'm saying that he's going to play at least 13 games this year. Let's make him our new TY. Let's make him that every time Paris Campbell wins, he's going to help us, bring home those dubs and stuff. And if this is a game that's going to be painful for us, because I really believe that that's going to happen this year. I believe Paris Campbell's going to be rewarded with his efforts and stuff. And if he does, this wide receiver room it's like another draft pick, in all honesty.
Yeah. I see you. Well, guys, thank you so much. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Colts Loyalist. And as usual, yeah. Have a good one.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.
Write it down. 13 wins. I'm telling you, 13 wins. Oh, and smashing Kansas City. All right. That's what we're going to do. Smash Kansas City.